Hello and welcome back to the Not Load Firm YouTube channel. My name is Ben Banks. Today, ready to preview Aberdeen's Europa League tie away to Viking Stavanger in Norway. Out of all the ties Aberdeen could have got, it's probably the most difficult one they could have possibly received. And my knowledge of Norwegian football is not strong enough to carry through in this video, so we've got somebody who is, and another Ben, and Ben Wells. Ben, how are you?
Hi, mate. Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Cheers for having me on. Yeah, good to chat more about Viking.
Yeah, no worries at all. From what I've seen of Viking, it looks. I think I had a wee look at them last night, and it was 15 goals scored in the last 5 games and 10 conceded.
Yeah, they ramped it up a bit in the last few game weeks. Got off to sort of quite a dodgy start this year. Very much a mixed bag after like a really impressive 2019 season. But then yeah, they're under a lot of pressure early on. Last few game weeks have sort of turned it around a little bit. Started playing a lot better. They beat Molde, who are one of the strongest teams in the league, for example. And you would have seen the other day they beat Christensen for 5-3, which was a ridiculous game. Two very attacking teams. So
Yeah, we'll have a look at sort of the game as a whole, what Viking can expect from Aberdeen, and vice versa. Have you you're based in the UK, aren't you?
yeah, I'm based in London. I've been covering Norwegian football for about five and a half years now. For Football Radar, who I work for. So whilst it is sort of like a hobby in a way, it is my job. A lot of people don't realise that still. Still get a lot of people thinking I'm just some random guy just loves Norwegian football. But yeah, I've been covering for a while now, and yeah, based in London, but try and get over to Norway sort of when I can.
I know you've spoken about Aberdeen and a couple of different things, but what is your sort of knowledge of them heading into Thursday night?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say my knowledge of Scottish football is as good as I think most English people in a way. Like I know the sort of basics. I know Aberdeen. Well, it looks to me on paper like a pretty strong team this year. I can't say I've sort of followed their matches, but I look at guys like Lewis Ferguson, Hayes, Rory, McKenna in defence all look like pretty strong players. So definitely seems like a pretty tough matchup for Viking, but at the same time, one I think they could potentially do quite well in. So.
Right. So could you sort of tell us sort of about Viking, sort of their season so far, and what type of style of play Aberdeen can perhaps think about coming up against?
Yeah, I sort of alluded to it, I guess, a minute ago, but last year had a really good season. Domestically, it was okay in the league, sort of mixed bag of points, but they got a good finish. But they won the cup, which was massive for them. It's their first time winning the cup in a long time, I believe. So that was a huge bonus, and their manager, Bjarne Bernsen, was sort of criticised for being a bit of a dinosaur at the start of the season and ended up proving a lot of people wrong by the end of it, including myself. So they've come off the back of a really good season in 2019. 2020, I think they're expected to do a lot better. A lot of fans are thinking maybe sort of top 6 finish ideally. But on the flip side of that, their squad had been depleted. They lost guys like Christian Torstedt, who you may have heard, who's gone to Genk in Belgium. They also lost Latko Tripic, who was their stand-up player last year. He went to Turkey. So replacing those guys was never going to be easy, and they got off to a pretty horrible start in the league, really. I think they lost their first 2 games, definitely won until at least July. So it was a pretty tough start. The manager came under a lot of pressure. The team was under a lot of pressure. There was a lot of chopping and changing in the lineup. But the last sort of month and a half or so, they've finally settled on their best 11, and you can see results have really started to improve. Like I said, winning against Molde was excellent. Beat a tough Strømsgodset to set aside away, and obviously the winning against Christensen recently. So yeah, they're just starting to get back on track at the right moment, really. I guess coming into this game.
Yeah, by looking at it, if Aberdeen had maybe got them at the start of August, it would maybe be a closer game. But in terms of Vikings form, they're both in good form, I suppose. Aberdeen have won their last 5 in the spin, and Viking have had similar form.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they look really good at the moment, Viking. Very good attacking side at the moment. They're setting up in a very attacking 4-3-3 formation. Their fullbacks like to bomb on, although they have just lost their left back, Adrian Nilsson Pereira, who's joined PAOK IOC in Greece. So that'll be a big loss to them. And the backup left back isn't quite as attacking, so it might affect their play a little bit. But I mean, they did win. They scored 5 goals the other day with Dick Stoll, who is the backup left back playing. So you never know really. But yeah, they generally set up. There's no real sort of defensive midfielding team. Christopher Lockberg plays deep, but not in a sort of natural defensive role. And you've got guys like Ibrahima and Torstein Bo who are bombing forward from midfield. They're what Norwegians call interlopers, who are sort of box-to-box attacking midfielders. So yeah, they're coming to some really exciting form, and I think it's going to be a very good match. As you say, Aberdeen also in pretty good nick at the moment.
There are 2 strikers, by the looks of it, look like the ones to watch out for, particularly Berisha, from the reading I've done.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Berisha is one of their most expensive signings of all time, I believe. He signed from Brann, where he wasn't great. It wasn't a great fit in there for about £500,000 sort of pounds. But again, I think similar to Viking as a whole, he started the season pretty poorly, really struggled to score. He was sort of shifted to the wing, between wing and attack. But last month or so, he's settled in an attacking position, and he started to score a lot of goals. I haven't got the exact figure in recent matches, but he's definitely been going at about at least 1 a game for the last 4 or 5 matches. And yeah, the other guy, the left winger, Zimmer Petici, fantastic little player, really rate him highly. He actually made his debut in the Elite Series at age 15 for another local team, Sandnes. Joined Salzburg just about a point when Red Bull Salzburg becoming sort of that breeding ground for young players. But he never really sort of progressed, never really got his eye in there, and ended up coming back to Norway, where he's sort of been very up and down in recent seasons. And this is finally the season where he's starting to show his true quality. He's been brilliant. He scored 2 goals the other day, and he's got a number of assists this year. I know he's been linked to a number of Scottish teams as well, actually. It's funny enough. But I do think that his level could end up being a little bit higher than that. Could be looking at maybe sort of Eredivisie or sort of Belgian top tier teams. So I think he's the real man to watch for teaching. He's the guy that Aberdeen are going to have to control if they're going to stop Viking, because a lot of Viking's good play comes down that left hand side that he plays on.
Yeah, by the looks of it, it looks like Aberdeen have played well attacking wise. They won 6-0, I think it was, against Runavik, but their good form's been built off defensively and midfield, particularly with Ross McCrory in the middle of their midfield, whereas Viking just seem to be trying to outscore the opposition. So one of them's going to have to give them Thursday.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Viking traditionally is sort of more of a counter-attacking team, especially in this 4-3-3. They've become more of an out-and-out attacking team over the last few weeks, but previously Burnson had sort of like more of a counter-attacking style of play. But yeah, I think it looks like it's going to be a very close game from what I've seen of Aberdeen. I mean, obviously, I'd like Viking to win. No, it's going to be close.
We don't really know how to view it in Scotland, because Viking are obviously a decent team. It's probably the hardest draw, as we've already said, that Aberdeen could have got. But for Viking, then, would it be a shock if Viking won? Because I know Aberdeen are the seeded team, but on paper, there's probably not much between the sides in terms of quality.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one to sort of decide, really, because I think traditionally, or in the last few years at least, Scottish Premier League has been a higher standard in general to the Elite Series. And obviously, I think Celtic and Rangers at the top tend to outweigh it, sort of in terms of statistics and the way we look at things at Radar, for example. They tend to sort of give Scotland the advantage in terms of strength. But I do think that when you get down to the bottom of the league, the bottom of the Elite Series is probably slightly better than the bottom of the SPL. In terms of Aberdeen and Viking, I mean, Viking are comfortably, I'd say, a top 8 team in Norway out of 16. They're a team that are traditionally pretty strong. They were in the second tier a couple of years ago, but have sort of got back on their perch almost. So yeah, it's a tough one. I think the home advantage for Viking is massive. Playing on the artificial pitch is obviously going to be beneficial to them. They're very used to that. It's how they sort of base their style of play. In terms of strength in general, I mean, I'd agree. I'd say there's probably very little between the teams. Maybe in general, Aberdeen's slightly edgy at the moment, just because they've got a few sort of real standout players, guys like who I mentioned, like Ferguson and McCrory, who would walk into that Viking team comfortably. But yeah, I think Viking definitely, their form plays a big part of it. They're really great form at the moment, attacking wise. As I mentioned, guys like Letitia and Berisha are looking unstoppable in Norway at the moment. So it'd be interesting to see how Aberdeen tackle them. So yeah, I'm expecting a very close game. I think for Viking, I don't think a win would be a surprise. I think a win would be like almost a bonus. I think they're probably coming into the game with an underdog mentality. But whether they are actually the underdogs, I think is another matter. I think it's pretty evenly balanced from my view. But yeah, I think Viking will try and play on that sort of underdog mentality to try and get a result.
If you had to stick your neck out in the line, how would you call it?
I think realistically, I'd be boring to say a draw. I think
They can be a draw. It needs to be done. Which is another factor.
Yeah, draw after 90. Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, I'd probably slightly fancy Viking at home, just because of sort of the mild home advantage, the pitch conditions, the fact that, yeah, I think Viking are going to have, it looks like their strongest 11 available as well, which is obviously always going to be a bit of a benefit. Whereas, I mean, I don't know Aberdeen's injury situation in depth, but it looks like they're sort of missing a few first teamers coming into this game. So I think my money would slightly be on Viking. But again, I think it wouldn't surprise me at all if any of the other results happen, to be honest.
Yeah. The big thing for Aberdeen, like, they're missing pretty much most of their strikers. Like Sam Cosgrove, who was their main strikers, out. Main's not really fully fit, and Ryan Edmondson, who they got in loan for Leeds, played one game injured, and he's not back now. So I think it's going to be a case of if Aberdeen can work out how to basically shut down the two attackers, I think they probably should be all right. But if they don't, are they going to be able to outscore Viking in a shooting match? I don't know.
Yeah, I saw actually when I was talking to the Aberdeen podcast the other day, they mentioned it might be sort of like formation change. I think Aberdeen been playing 3 at the back recently. They mentioned it might be a sort of change to 4-3-3 to match Viking. I think the striker Marley Watkins playing up front.
Yeah, he's been quite good for them actually in recent weeks.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see how they match up actually, whether they do sort of mimic Viking's formation to try and stop that attacking threat. Because I think 3 at the back or 3-4-3, which they're playing now, might sort of leave a bit open to Viking sort of wide men. So.
It'll definitely be interesting. Thanks for your time, Ben, and thanks everybody for watching this. And we'll have coverage of this game as well on our website and online on Friday. I think it is. We'll have another video reviewing this. We'll also be, as this goes live, it will be announced that we'll be in Northern Ireland for Mull v Coleraine, so you can expect live coverage from that and around the grounds at the showgrounds. And subscribe to us if you haven't already. Till next time.